I sit by myself talking to حاجات تتحس وما تتقالش وإن جيت أطلبها أنا مقدرش.
A couple of months ago, I had the intention of uploading the timeline of Taekook in 2016 and how their relationship began to be more difficult as they progressed, but since the timeline does not specify exactly why Taehyung and Jungkook, they began to separate them in front of the cameras, and because the rumor of an alleged breakup between the two spread, I wanted to introduce them with this video before showing them their story through the years 2016, 2017 and 2018, so that they can better understand the why they did what they did in the timeline. Since during the formalization and the fact that Dispatch began to be more obsessive with the two, Big Hit had no choice but to cut his moments and appear distant between Taehyung and Jungkook in front of the cameras. So after this, it is important wait for Taekook's chronology in 2016 to understand why it was said that, as a result of their discomfort, Taehyung and Jungkook could have been in a romantic relationship. Although it is worth reminding you that this is just a theory that you have been asking me for a long time, everything is based on what I believe and the facts that demonstrate on the side that not everyone dares to see. I will try to gather concrete information and clear so that you can discuss it better, since my intention is not to impose this idea on you, and much less force you to believe in something that, although it has a lot of evidence, is not really true. So I ask you to respect and pay attention to the following key points for the formation of this ship, starting mainly on January 9, 2016, when Dispatch begins to have this fixation on Taekook, to the point of recording Taehyung hugging Jungkook's back during their tour at the airport, both looking very comfortable with the obvious uncomfortable position to walk, and perhaps it can be speculated that based on the closeness that Taehyung and Jungkook showed, until before they were separated, Dispatch will look for a way to link them and begin to have their attention focused on them, which of course began the difficulties that Taekook began to present when they tried to continue maintaining the closeness that they had been responsible for forming. Since 3 months later, on March 12, 2016, the Korean forum Pan published an article in which it said that a media outlet had an exclusive report on evidence they had collected from an alleged same-sex couple within the same idol group, and they gave certain clues so that internet users would begin to link their idols who could have the same characteristics, since, among them, was the expectation of the growth of this group, which would cause a great impact on the industry. So, in the note, it was commented that said media outlet was preparing in advance for the inevitable lawsuit that would come after they revealed the alleged gay couple. Well, the comments on this article began to say that it was not correct to force people out of the closet, or that at no time did the article specify that they would have to be male idols. But everyone had taken it that way, although the original post was completely deleted for some reason. I can't say for sure that this post would be related to Taekook, since there may have been same-sex couples in the industry at the time, or maybe even today, but the description was strangely fitting for Bangtan and idols in relation to each other. Since if we read more carefully the descriptions that this article gave, it was said that they were specifically from the same group and that they were trending long after debuting. On the Pan forum, it was mentioned that this media outlet had been waiting for this news for months, and Bangtan began to become more popular in 2015, when they were third on Gaeon's best-selling album sales chart. So the fact that precisely this forum will make it clear that this group was beginning to be a trend, it was a little more evident that these were two men who had not bothered to hide it anymore until that moment. And if we take into account that Dispatch was behind Taekook and following their interactions closely, it makes some sense that coincidentally Big Hit will start separating Taekook in front of the cameras from 2016 onwards. Taking as an example the DVD of the concert The Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 1, Taehyung remains leaning on Jungkook's back while they move forward and talk about the concert and what was expected of it. Taehyung in this part points out something in the background, still leaning on Jungkook's back, and Jungkook consequently imitates his action, before they both turn towards the people behind the camera who apparently forced them to separate, since the gesture that both make when the staff asks for space between the two makes it clear to me that it was with every intention to achieve a distance between them. We'll just see how even Jungkook nods, while he is not aware of the distance that Taehyung uses between the two, until he tends to turn around to ensure that Taehyung is no longer hugging him like before, which could explain why they both react this way and seem too disappointed. Although curiously, Dispatch did not reveal any couple at the end of 2016 as planned, because according to the statements it gave through a statement that came out on January 1st, 2017, it was said that it was preferable not to distract people from the crisis politics that the country was suffering at that time, and that when the day would come, when everything calmed down, once again, they would return with their usual publications. As his excuse for the possible silencing he received from a certain company, which began to be more evident in the cuts and separations that Taehyung and Jungkook suffered throughout that same year, when Dispatch remained completely silent due to said political crisis. But it was not until the end of 2017 when Dispatch again came out to say that it would reveal said couple in 2018 while sharing another clue through a Chinese page, which revealed that both idols were only 2 years apart. And although Taehyung and Jungkook weren't the only idols to have the same shared characteristic, many began to notice it more strangely when bighit thought it would be less obvious if they tried to separate them in front of the cameras, which turned out to be completely contradictory to that point. That began the massive morbidity of people due to such actions. Since on March 12, 2017, during Burn the Stage, which was the Wings tour and the concerts that the boys had in Chile, the separation that bighit forced them to maintain was in a more intense way. The film was released until November 15, 2018, where everything made more sense when the scenes and cuts that came from the recordings made on the tour were more noticeable during that time. Well, even though Taehyung was always worried about Jungkook's health, being aware of how much he was forcing himself to give his presentations and the momentary collapses he had while doing their fiery presentation, I can somehow think that because for this reason, Taehyung and Jungkook looked for a way to express their love and support through an internal signal that encompassed the concern that Taehyung felt, seeing him that way and not being able to do anything else but wait for him to be better when he could rest, which perhaps led Taehyung to want to convey his presence to him when he finished Fire's performance and took the opportunity to turn around so that Jungkook could see the I love you sign, which he then touched to let him know that yes, I had seen. It is clear proof that it was a symbol of love and concern that Jungkook understood as soon as he saw it. Because even when Jungkook finished collapsing after getting off the stage and all the members ran to see him worried, Taehyung was the only one who was cut out of the scene, even though he rushed into the room after hearing Jungkook complain, which eventually caused the shot to cut and make it clear to us that everything had been on purpose. Well, minutes after Jungkook left the room, looking tired, he knew where he had to go when he casually walked into the closet where Taehyung was already waiting for him, without cameras in the way, dressed just like the boys in the photo. They had gone up on Twitter to thank ARMY for coming to see them on the tour, and although I am probably not covering 100% every deleted or modified scene from other days to take out of context how things happened, on YouTube you can find the complete movie or different analyses that have very good points to cover about the different shots from Burn the Stage. By May 5 of the same year, although Dispatch no longer had the possibility of continuing to increase the curiosity of the fans regarding the only same-sex couple that it had ever revealed, they did continue to give certain clues on their social networks, publishing on their official page a Taekook poster that was held by fans. On September 18, 2017, the song DNA was released for the album Love Yourself. Her Namjoon described this song in a conference room as the love of children growing up, with a message of reconciliation and integration, and during DNA's special envelope also said that they tried to convey a message of love, unity, reconciliation and integration to society. Taking into account Taekook's relationship with DNA and what I explained in one of my past videos, it means, for me, a deeper message that brings with it the unconditional support and strength that this song, through the years, gave signs of mutual love. But if you want me to theorize this and other songs that, for me, may have a certain relationship with Taekook, let me know in the comments, and I will be doing so as soon as possible, including everything related to DNA with Taehyung and Jungkook. On October 7th, Jungkook showed off his matching bracelet that he had with Taehyung for 4 minutes straight at a fan signing in 2017, perhaps trying to make it more noticeable that he wasn't being too discreet to be caught, since in the same fan sign, Taehyung was also seen wearing the same Tiffany & Co. brand bracelet, along with a pair of matching rings from the same brand on his ring fingers at several fan meetings, which were an exclusive gift from a Taekook shipper. Then Taehyung, in another fan sign, took off his so that Jungkook will wear them at the same time in a playful way. Though, is that apparently they wore those same rings a week before the fan meeting during a mukbang live on September 30th, that it was the same day in which they did a fan meeting and they were between the limit of getting closer or maintaining the distance that bighit was trying to keep from them when witnessing a possible threat due to said rumors. Because even when Taehyung seemed to want to get their attention, Jungkook seemed to be more interested in limiting his actions, even when Taehyung continued to try harder by coming behind his back and placing the doll on Jungkook's head to get his attention. Although being aware enough that perhaps he was the only one wanting to not feel so displaced, for so with a crestfallen gesture, Taehyung simply walked away. But even though it wasn't either of them's fault, of course there was some tension that they had no idea how to deal with, because the fact that Taehyung will try every possible way and then walk away from him with a sad expression, it lets me know that it was not the intention of either of them. To make it even more uncomfortable, and although it is classified as a separation, it does not mean that they were okay with it. because the fact that Big Hit out of nowhere will start to having problems with Taekook's closeness after Dispatch's decline in revealing his supposed gay partner seems even more strange to me, since they did not continue with the topic, even though they promised to return to it when the entire Korean dispute will end. But they did continue to insinuate something regarding Taekook through their publications when they emphasized only the two of them throughout the year of 2017 onwards. Well, on September 18th, the public posted this photo of Taekook in a collage with a title that said, "Beautiful on the left and right, Flower Boy Beauty," even though the publication was talking about the recent BTS album, Love Yourself Hair, and they only focused on the two of them for some reason. On September 22nd, 2017, the boys were about to leave abroad to fulfill their work schedule together, but in the dispatch post, they wrote Taehyung and Jungkook's names, plus their matching clothes, while placing in the caption of the post, "It's also light," and they shared a photo of them. On January 25th, 2018, things escalate one more point when Dispatch republishes a photo of Taekook dressed in black during an award ceremony, describing, "The truth is black," while sending a hint that was not caught. And although perhaps they had been prohibited from revealing a truth that could end the beginning of a successful ban, they had apparently reached an agreement to have scoops in exchange for their silence, because eventually they were not prevented from continuing to publish Taekook things, to the point to reveal a private buffet date at the Namsan Hotel on January 26th of that same year. Even on March 21st, 2018, Jimin said that Namsan Tower in Seoul was a beautiful place with a beautiful landscape to which you could take your partner after VV magazine asked him to recommend a place to go, to walk with your girlfriend or boyfriend in South Korea. Taehyung and Jungkook were not wearing masks or glasses, so their faces were visible to the entire public, although by that point, they were already much more recognized and their careers had taken off greatly, so it could have been a carelessness or a strong statement, since said hotel was located 10 minutes from their dormitory, and a reservation was required a month in advance, so it must be a special occasion if they had taken the trouble to reserve a place. And even though Jungkook brought a professional camera with him, nothing from that day was ever revealed or made public until today, so I highly doubt that at some point they will do it, as happened with his private dinner at Atomix in 2021, thanks to Jungkook, but we will still hold out hope. On February 4, Dispatch puts together a post and mentions Taehyung and Jungkook improvising, daily song for the Bangtan Bombs, strangely following up on Taekook's exclusive posts for no apparent reason. Although if you remember what I mentioned minutes ago about Big Hit's possible agreement with Dispatch and the scoops they could get from BTS in exchange for their silence, it became even more evident when the company began to have collaborations with this media outlet during the private agendas, exclusive photo sessions and film sets that the boys could have before being revealed to the public eye. Since on February 10th of the same year, despite what Big Hit wanted to show, by not allowing Taehyung to give him the bouquet of flowers that he got for Jungkook for his recent graduation and with which he was carrying all the time, since that he got out of the van that had taken them to the place. They even made Jimin deliver it to him in his place, while he was waiting for Jungkook's reaction in the back seat, and admitted that they had bought it in that store across the street that they both knew. It wasn't enough for them to cut the shots in which Taehyung and Jungkook were talking to each other, and each one ate separately after graduation, so Dispatch arrived, to make us see that everything they publish is always a lie. Well, instead, Dispatch put black bean noodles for graduation in the description of their post while sharing photos of Taehyung feeding Jungkook with his chopsticks and a small boomerang of each clip of the moment that made them happy. On February 14th, they posted again about Taekook and his rising action drama for the episode of BTS Run, where Taehyung and Jungkook were becoming closer and more smiling, despite the problems that were coming, while caressing each other, and they acted tenderly towards each other. On March 3rd, Taehyung posts a photo of himself and Jungkook on Twitter, watching the sunset. The same day, Dispatch reposts them on Instagram from a screenshot of the BTS Twitter account, writing V and Jungkook behind the quote as a description with a pair of hearts on the side. A minute later, that makes them official one by one, with a male couple emoji and several hearts on the side in the second, while mentioning the icon, who was in charge of photographing them both. On March 5th, said page posted behind-the-scenes images of Taekook's photo shoots on Twitter, showing us the way Jungkook took photos of Taehyung, despite having the official photographer on the side. Although the strange thing about that is that he only uploaded the photos of the two of them alone, despite having been a complete BTS session, which took him around 11 days to publish the video of that day, placing in the description that Namjoon, Jin, Hobi and Jimin had been filming a unit, while he asked what Taehyung and Jungkook were doing back in the sunset, with a wink to his question when he said that we all already knew the answer. That same March 5th, Dispatch reposted a photo of Jungkook alone on Instagram saying that he liked the sky, while adorning the description with a rainbow emoji for no apparent reason. On May 15, 2018, the boys returned to Korea after fulfilling their agenda in Los Angeles. Dispatch makes an article about it and calls Taehyung and Jungkook as visual brothers, while posting all the photos it could take of Taekook together on arrival. And on the same day, Taekook publishes Naver statistics, while focusing on Taehyung and Jungkook in his publication. On the 25th of the same month, Dispatch reports that Jungkook wrote the subtitles for Taehyung's words after putting on the headphones, while explaining the process of how he edited the videos while enjoying it, for some reason, emphasizing that fact. On the 28th, I posted photos from the filming set of the Fake Love MV, choosing Jungkook as the cover of the publication on the website. While on Instagram, I posted the photos that Jungkook apparently took of Taehyung personally, in addition to a fifth photo that was not included in the portfolio but was taken this time by Taehyung, of Jungkook. On June 6, 2018, Dispatch uploads the behind the scenes of Jimin's photoshoot, but strangely 3 of the 4 photos posted only show Taehyung and Jungkook being Jimin's photographers. I clarify that I highlighted these so that they take into account how Dispatch is fixed by Taekook. Despite not being something related to them, it is not so that they come to comment on unnecessary things and enhance our ship, lowering the others. On the 21st, BTS officially announces the Dispatch page on Vlive, and that is the way in which they indirectly confirm that they actually did have a contract that included said promotions directly from the boys, and the subtle way in which they also tell us that they can't let go of Taekook because they were frustrated at the time is when they post a photo of Taehyung and sadly capture Jungkook behind him on August 8th. The same image that became the profile photo of the official Dispatch account, while they continued to hint at how obsessive they became for not revealing something that obviously excited them. On August 25 of the same year, bighit opened an exhibition of photos of BTS in different years, and also everyone had a photo with another member repeatedly. Taehyung and Jungkook did not appear in any of them together, except for what seemed like be a photo from the recording of Not Today, as if they had wanted to pretend that they had no more photos together apart from this one, which we all know is a complete lie, since on more than one occasion they were seen taking photos together in a private and completely public way, so that the company had something to choose from. Apart from that day, the 31st of the same month, Dispatch continued sending Taekook through his Instagram stories, capturing the exact moment of Taehyung and Jungkook together in the same shot, and he continued to call them visual brothers until October 24th, while publishing individual photos and together in an article exclusively for them. Which is curious, because nowadays we still see these same attitudes in different publications that Dispatch makes in a more open way, either by calling them Taekook and sending certain hints to people who just want to make something real that is completely false. And if you take into account the theater and water theory that I made a few months ago, it may make some sense that Dispatch has coincidentally decided to publish on his Taekook account a past video of Jungkook at the airport when he was going to Los Angeles to fulfill his work schedule, the same day that Taehyung was leaving to go abroad to finish the last details of his schedule. Since thanks again to Camila for being so informative, I was able to notice that Dispatch had used the song I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys in Jungkook's video, which mainly has a part that says, "You are my fire," while he continues to mention it as his only wish. And although for many it may not have a deep background, it becomes really interesting if you pay attention to the continuation of this same lyric, since later we can find a very important part that says that the distance does not matter, because deep inside him, he knows that this other person is his fire and his only desire, while repeating the same stanzas once again. In addition to that, he made an exclusive article for Taekook in which he talked about Taehyung's evaluation of trying the original Bulmaya Maguksu by Jungkook, saying, "They fell in love with the dish made by BTS's Jungkook, which attracted a lot of attention and made the fans envious." V boasted, saying that he had contacted him in the morning and that he would go to lunch tomorrow, according to words said by the same Dispatch. And although Dispatch may not have done it with that intention, we know that they were always more obsessive with Taekook and their interactions, in some way always wanting us to see beyond what we were shown. And although I can still see a contract involved, that will never stop them from showing us a truth which they have taken it upon themselves to hide.